Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to Saturday morning new distributor training. My name's Fred Holmes. I'm an independent distributor with ZG International, and excited to welcome you to my home office. Good to have you all in here. Actually, fortunately, because we don't have enough space in this room, it's not that big a room. We got the webinar. And good morning. I'm going to look here. We got good morning, Candice. Welcome. Let's see. And Lauren and Ray, good morning. Laura Lee, good morning. Welcome. This is Saturday morning, first day of period 3, or cycle 3, period 126. Excited about what's happening so far during this last 2 weeks of this particular period. Want to get the normal protocol going here. I want to first welcome all of you, in particular those of you that are brand new distributors. Saturday morning new distributor training, this time that we invest is specifically for you. Good to see a number of our field leadership being included in here. Good to see all of you. And then also, I know that on occasion, we have people that are actually not really involved with ZG yet. That join us on this, maybe kind of taking a look, dipping your toe in the pool, see what the temperature's like. Warm welcome to you as well. We're not going to, of course, go through a lot of the information that you might need to make a decision to be involved with ZG. The person that asked you to be part of this broadcast, or maybe they directed you to the video replay, they can get you that information, give you exposure that you need. What you're going to learn in this process of fact gathering, if you will, is the reasons why people like myself, I've got over 30 years of experience in this industry, people like Doug Stroop, Pat Anders, people that have had the opportunity to be around this type of home-based business, why we got involved with ZG. It really comes down to a few simple things. We've got the most experienced and successful corporate leadership. The man that owns ZG International has created 2 previous multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade-long companies in the nutritional industry that are still in business today. One of them over 40 years, the other one over 30 years. Success leaves clues. Why wouldn't you want to be part of a legacy company in the making? Our products, certainly another reason. Products that meet recognized needs, products that people are looking for today. They don't even know that we have them. Add to that the timing factor. ZG International today is already in the top 1% of companies in the network marketing profession that have ever existed. Okay, and the reason I say that very simply, we have been around for over 10 years. Less than 1% of the companies in this entire profession, almost 70 years it's been a profession, have been in business for over 10 years. Yet we are literally at the very beginning of our major growth curve. So those of you that are maybe just taking a look, you're welcome to join us, stay with us, jot down some notes. I do want to do this. Let me just clear something off my screen here that just popped up. For those of you that maybe this is your first opportunity to be part of a new distributor training, I want to be real clear. What we do on Saturdays is we bring something different to the table every single Saturday. Today's session is not designed to teach you what we do and how we do it. Okay, we have archived materials for that. I have a YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes ZG, HOLMES. YouTube.com/Fred Holmes ZG. Go to that YouTube channel. I've posted, there's a playlist. When you click on the playlist, there'll only be one playlist. There are 4 videos there. The first one is what you actually wanted to hear today. Okay, it's new distributor training, specifically what we do and how we do it. And so I encourage you, take 30 minutes and watch that video and take some notes. Now there's 3 other short videos that are part of that playlist. They're about 10 minutes on the average each, so about another 30 minutes. And they are essentially the fast start training. Okay, how to create your story, how to develop a prospect list, how to do a 90-day game plan. It's the kind of things that I was taught and actually experienced in a previous company that allowed me to retire in 10 years. I mean, I literally went into retirement after 10 years because I'd created an income that would have taken me, probably 2 lifetimes from my previous career as a cross-country truck driver. I compressed, 60, 70, 80 years of income into 10 years. And the second thing I did is I didn't spend all the money, and that's a real important trick. And I was able to retire literally 20 years earlier than most fellows ever think about retiring. And so those 4 little videos, they are specifically what we call the new distributor training and the fast start training. So I encourage you to get that underneath your belt. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that channel if you'd like. It'll give you notifications whenever a new video is posted. What we do on Saturday morning new distributor training, and when I say we, it's not just me. I tend to be the host of this, but there are a number of people that collaborate on this broadcast with me, sharing their experience, their knowledge, their skill sets, to bring something to you every Saturday to help augment what you're doing and where you're at. So literally, it's an opportunity, whether you've been with us a day, a week, a month, a year, or several years, there will be something here that you can take a hold of. And so today what I wanted to do, and I sent out a little group text. Some of you may want, if you're not on that group text, certainly get a hold of let me know. That today's training was going to be 3 tricks to achieving diamond success. And I got to tell you, I got quite a bit of response to that little group text. 3 tricks. I want to know the tricks. What are the tricks? Well, I got to tell you, they're not really tricks, okay? But it was a great line for the texting, right? For the group text. But I do have 3 specific things that if you can do this, okay, you are virtually assured whatever level of success you desire in your Zija business. Because they are the 3, if you were to poll all of our diamonds, all of our 6-figure and above income earners, and ask them if these 3 things were critical to their success, I venture to say every single person that you would speak to would say, absolutely, those 3 things were critical. Those were essential. And I'm not saying it's because it's stuff that I made up and everybody's copied. This is just the kinds of information, the kinds of knowledge that if you spend time with successful people in our type of business, you will learn these kinds of things. That was one of my primary objectives. And let's, do the, go on the, the Wayback Machine, right? 33 years ago, I believe it was, I left my career as a cross-country truck driver to get involved in network marketing. And I'm not saying, I'm just some dumb truck driver and I got rich and you can too. No, I'm not dumb at all. I had a lot of self-awareness. I realized I was ruined for a real job. I couldn't do a real job. I was always a great employee. The problem is, in most situations, people don't like that because you're a threat to your boss. I didn't do well with the structure of showing up at 8 in the morning and leaving at 5 o'clock. And I didn't frankly like the fact that other people controlled me. Being a cross-country truck driver, this is back in the days before cell phones and GPS and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the minute I walked away from the payphone where I called my dispatcher and said, okay, I've got the load on and I'm ready to head out, at that point in time, I was my own boss. They couldn't get a hold of me. They had no idea where their, $100,000 tractor trailer and $250,000 load of strawberries was. They were just hoping I was doing the deal. So, when I left that, I was smart enough to realize that I wanted to have what the most successful people had. I was also smart enough to realize that I needed to do what they did. I needed to know what they know. And so I became a student of this profession. Okay, my focus was on learning what the successful people already knew, reading the books the successful people read, developing the habits that the successful people have, developing the philosophies that the successful people have. And for today, I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to share a few things with you, 3 specific tricks. And they're not really tricks, folks, okay? But if you apply these things, these are the 3 things, and I'm not saying they're the only 3 things, but they are 3 specific things that define the difference. They create the difference between somebody who does Zija and makes some money and somebody who does Zija and creates a legacy income. Okay, and hopefully that difference is compelling enough to you that you're actually going to want to do these 3 things. So let's start with number 1, and I hope you have your journal handy. I have to tell you, this is one of the most important things that I learned many years ago, and it was taught to me by a gentleman that was very unassuming, didn't necessarily look like the you know, the fanciest guy in the room with the fanciest suit or the fanciest car. But this young fella had developed these skill sets and was already $1 million earner in my very first company. And he was 10 years younger than me. Like, actually might have been 12 years younger than me. Okay, he was 21 years old and he had already created $1 million in income. And so I'm one of those guys, I don't care whether you're older than me, younger than me, better looking, uglier than, you know, most people are better looking than me, but you know what I'm saying. It doesn't make any difference to me who you are. What I care about is what have you done? And so I learn from everybody. By the way, because I mean, I've shared this story before, and you know, somebody's going to ask again. Gentleman I'm referring to, man's name is Dan McCormick. Fast forward another 10 years after that, Dan McCormick became a mentor to David Moses. So that should help you. You know, success leaves clues. Creating an environment where the knowledge and the information and the inspiration that you receive can be archived is going to be critical to your long-term success. I very quickly started journaling, and by that I mean taking notes. Now, my old journals, they were spiral-bound notebooks, you know, the kind of thing. Well, back then I think you could get like 3 or 4 of them for $1 or something. Now they're probably $1.95 a piece, whatever. But something that, you know, is quasi-permanent. Today, my journals are these really neat things, you know, they're leather bound. They got the little, you know, you know, page ribbon thing, you know, the little gold pages like your Bible and stuff like that. But they weren't always this fancy, right? It really isn't an issue how fancy it is, so long as it's something that you can archive, something that'll be around for the long term. So I encourage you to do that. Get your notes out. Now, number 1, 3 tricks that every successful leader will agree are essential to your long-term success. Number 1, have a long-term focus and short-term goals. Now, let's start with the first half of that. Have a long-term focus. If you look at today's results and determine your progress based upon today, you're making a major mistake. Okay? And I'm going to use my own personal Zija story as an illustration. You must have a long-term focus because nothing of significance is created overnight, and certainly not without a tremendous amount of effort. We are talking, for many of you, your goals are quite substantial. Okay? We're talking about doing something very special, very unique, to create, in some cases, for some of you, a legacy income, something that when you're gone, your income will still be able to ensure the success, the well-being of your children, your grandchildren, and generations beyond that, okay? So this is something very special. You have to have a long-term focus. Now, you know, in traditional businesses, okay, standard numbers in traditional businesses, 10 years is the typical timeline for a return on investment. So if you invest $100,000 to start a business, typically you're looking at 10 years to get that 100,000 back. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to make income during that period of time, but income over and above to pay back your investment. Real estate, and I've been fortunate enough to be, blessed abundantly with my Zija business. I've invested a lot of money in real estate. The fact of the matter is, in most real estate investments, you're looking at 7 to 10 years of income before you actually get your investment back. Whereas in our type of business, many people invest in this business. They might spend a few $100s. I spent $1,300 when I started, and you can get that investment back in literally, a week, 2 weeks, a month, maybe 90 days. I mean, that's unheard of in real business, terms. But you got to have a long-term focus. To have, incredible success and to expect that overnight it's silly. Now, I'll use my Zija story, all right? I did get off to a fast start. I was able to follow a simple system, and I talk about that in those little videos that on the playlist I was telling you about in the distributor training. I was able to recoup that initial $1,300 investment in product. I was able to do that in 2 weeks. Now, that was by design. That didn't happen by accident. That was specifically by design. Now, I had very high level goals, okay, much higher than the average person, because I'd already experienced high level success prior to this. Now, that very first year I was with Zija, my first year's income was not particularly special, okay? I was able to create a full-time income after the first 12 months. It wasn't huge, okay? It was, I call it make a living income, truck driver income. But that was working on a part-time basis from home right here. Actually, I didn't have that nice bookcase back then, but just working from home, create that full-time income. Now, the reason for the long-term focus, it was essential, because if you look at that first year, half of the first year's income didn't come in until the last 90 days. Half of that first year's income did not come in until the last 90 days. So if I was to have a more short-term focus, if I was evaluating my income in the first 90 days or the first 6 months or even the first 9 months, it was pretty mediocre. It was pretty weak. But because I was consistent with my daily method of operation over that first, 9 months, when I hit month 10, 11, and 12, the compounding effect started to take over. And in that last 3 months of the year, I made half of the first year's income. Now, for a lot of people, that'd be great to have a full-time paycheck coming in after just 1 year of work, on a part-time basis. That was obviously not my goal. The second year, I still focusing on that long-term vision. I continued to do what I did the first year over and over again. By the end of the second year, my income went into 6 figures. And that was extraordinary. I mean, that took me to about the top 5% of income earners, 4% of income earners in the country. Now, had I stopped somewhere in that first 6 months of the first year because I wasn't getting a lot of results, I never would achieve what I got at the end of the second year. The third year in Zija, continuing to do the same thing. That third year in Zija, that third year's income, the 1099 from the third year, was more than double the first 2 years combined. More than double the first 2 years. And so the point I'm trying to illustrate is that having that long-term focus is what created all of that. And that third year put me in the top 1%. At that particular year, to be in the top 1% of income earners in the country, you had to make $364,000. And that third year put me in the top 1% of income earners in the United States. So have a long-term focus, folks. Whatever your goals are, it's virtually impossible if you are constantly thinking short-term to achieve significant goals. You have to have a long-term focus. However, and I tell people, realize if you want something very special here, it's a 3 to 5 year game plan. And for a lot of people, that's kind of a challenge, although most people don't have any problem thinking about spending 4 years in college to get a bachelor's degree. So you can get out of school and have a piece of paper that says you're entitled to an entry level, job in a career, make 30, 40, 50,000 a year. Most people don't have it, 4 years. Here's what I do know. 3 to 5 years from now is going to be 3 to 5 years from now, no matter what you do. Where you're going to be 3 to 5 years from now is going to be 100% dependent upon what you do over the next 3 to 5 years. Have a long-term focus, but have short-term goals. And those short-term goals can be progressively shorter. For instance, we talked about a 90-day game plan. A 90-day game plan is simply a mental game to break up an entire year worth of effort into 4 discrete segments. And within the 90-day game plan, most of us, we have 30-day game plans. Or in Zija, since we work on a 4-week calendar, 4 cycles, 4-week game plan. And within that 4-week game plan, shorter focus, 1-week game plan. We have 7 days in every week. And so have a long-term focus, but short-term goals. What are my goals for the next 90 days? What are my goals for this 4-week period? What are my goals for this 1-week, 7-day period? And then if you really want to get good at this, what are my goals for today? And when you can do it, breaking it down into small increments like that, the key is that consistency of effort. Now, second thing I want to talk about, tricks. Track your activity and track your numbers. Number 2, track your activity and track your numbers. And see, this is something that was really brought home to me by one of our newer people, Sharon out of Chicago. She showed me, and this isn't it, but she showed me on a Zoom meeting what she was doing. And it just brought me back to that's powerful. What she had done, and she was actually using a document she got off the internet somewhere. I did these myself. When I am fully engaged in stage 1 activities, prospecting, enrolling, training, getting people going, this is exactly what I do. I keep track of my activities. So, for instance, you might have, lines across the top, 10 of them. Name of the person that you're talking to. When was your first contact? What did you say to that person? I mean, what tool did you get? When did you schedule the follow-up? Invitation, presentation, validation. And what was the result of that? What's the next follow-up? Having those names written down, tracking your results is critical to the professionalism of this business. If you are not tracking your activities, how do you know what you've done? I mean, I even did this when I was a truck driver. Okay, I identified, every 15 minutes. I mean, I did this 1 week just specifically to find out what was going on. I kept a chart. Was I loading? Was I driving? Was I doing maintenance? Was I sleeping? What were the activities, so I could figure out how to be the most efficient with my time, because I had to do what 2 guys did, one of them sleeping, one of them driving. I had to do it by myself. I had to get efficient at what I was doing. This concept of tracking your activities. What are you doing? Now, most of you are going to be like me, okay? You're going to be part-time. So what are the activities that create results? Real simple. Come straight out of Saturday morning new distributor training, one of the archived videos. We share our product, we share our income opportunity, and we teach others to do the same. That's the money-making activities. We share our product, we share our income opportunity, and we teach others to do the same. Now, there's some corollary things that are part of that. Investing in personal development. That should be something on everybody's to-do list every day. Did you invest 30 minutes in yourself to get better at what you do? Okay, that's just one. I add into there working in depth. Okay, that's been, I mean, if there's a secret to my success, and it's not a secret, I'll tell anybody who wants to hear. I follow a simple system, and then I work in depth, because I've never been the guy that's been a great recruiter, but I also understand that if I can enroll 2 people and help them enroll 2 people and help those people enroll 2 people and help those people enroll 2 people working in depth, I now have 30 people that are part of my organization. Somewhere in that group of 30, I'm going to find the person I'm looking for. Now, may not be either one of the 2 people I signed up. And actually, if you look at my organization, I mean, there's, 45, 50 different people in my organization that are leadership ranks, platinums, emeralds, diamonds, black diamonds, double crusted pinky ring diamonds. Only 2 of those people have I personally enrolled. Everybody else came from somebody downline that introduced me to somebody, introduced me to somebody, introduced me to somebody else. So 3 key things: share the product, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same, personal development, building in depth. Now, if you understand those are the things that make you money, then you should be tracking what are your activities. And so often, if you, for the average person, you start to realize, well, I did this on Facebook, and I designed my business card, and all the things that don't make you any money, unless you were specifically sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, and teaching others to do the same. Track your activity, monitor the numbers. If you have an activity that is sharing the product, but the numbers indicate that you talk to 10 to get 1, you may want to identify if that activity is a correct activity. All activities are not equal. I know one of the things that there's a lot going on, a lot being taught today about online marketing, connecting with people on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I think it's actually a good idea. Okay, but I also know, because I get contacted every single day of people trying to help me learn how to connect on LinkedIn. And as I investigate that person, I come to find out they've never made any money in network marketing. Now, how is somebody going to teach me how to make money in network marketing, regardless of what the technique is, if they've never made money in network marketing? That's like the professor in college in the school of business that's never made money other than being an employee of a college, teaching me how to be a successful business owner. How can they do that if they've never done it? I mean, that should be common sense. Now, track your activities. What are you doing? Number 2, track the numbers. Are your activities creating the results that you're looking for? Finally, and this is the easiest part, folks, and it's almost embarrassing to have to say this, okay? What we do in our profession is relatively simple, okay? I'm never going to say it's easy. The activities are fairly simple. What makes this work? It's a business that's simple enough to be taught to the average person of average intelligence. And the average person can learn this. And the average person can turn around and teach it to others. Now, do you have to be a rocket scientist, some kind of big brain genius to figure this out? No. If you did, you wouldn't have people like me being successful. I'm not saying I'm a dumb guy. I'm a really smart guy. But I've learned how to make this simple enough that everybody can do it. Number 2, the people that have been the most successful in this type of business mastered a simple system. And then here's number 3, okay? They have created an environment where their challenges, the obstacles to their success, became completely eliminated through a simple process. consistency of activity. Consistency of activity is key. Okay, consistency of effort along with persistence over a prolonged period of time overcomes all obstacles. I'd like to tell you I'm real special, and I will tell you this. Okay, I have spent many years of my life trying to develop myself. Read the books that successful people have read. You know, go to the seminars successful people go to. You know, engage in the activities that successful people engage in. What I've learned over that period of time is that anybody can do what we do if you do the things that successful people do. Consistency of effort, exercising correct activities on a daily basis for a prolonged period of time overcomes all obstacles. It's a guarantee. It's just like how a guy like me who's never worked out, I mean, I was never, ever a workout, gym, athlete kind of guy. You know, the one sport that I participated in, I was 13, 14 years old. I participated in tennis. That was my big athletic endeavor. And I guarantee you it had a whole lot more to do with pretty girls, pretty 13, 14-year-old girls in short skirts than it had to do with anything else, okay? That was the only sport I've ever been in, all right? I know for a fact that being consistent in the gym for a prolonged, you know, doing correct things for a prolonged period of time can overcome all obstacles. One of my major obstacles, I'm in my mid-60s. Okay, another major obstacle, I've never been a workout guy. Okay, it helps. You can stay in better shape or get into shape again if you were that guy for 20 years. All right, yet consistency of effort, persistency of effort. Today I'm at the weight I was in my mid-20s, early 20s. My body mass index is smack dab exactly in the middle of the normal range. My percentage of body fat, 1 point above athletic. Okay, that's what consistency of effort and persistency of effort will do for you. So hopefully that has been helpful. Have long-term focus, short-term goals. Incidentally, for those of you that are thinking, well, geez, I'm not progressing as fast as some of the people have, I ended my first year in ZJ as a gold. Took me a year to hit gold. The second year in ZJ, I ended as an emerald. Took 2 years to hit emerald. Now, the third year, I hit diamond, double diamond, and triple diamond all in that third year because of the compounding effect that takes place. But again, I'm a guy that already knew this, okay? I was already $1 million earner before ZJ. So don't base your results in comparison to somebody else. I've had so many people say, well, Fred, you must be one of those really competitive guys. Absolutely not, okay? That's why I never did well in sports, you know, except for tennis when I was 14. I'm not that competitive. However, I'm incredibly competitive against myself. If I set a goal today to talk to 2 people, I will not stop until I've talked to those 2 people. I hold myself to extremely high levels of performance. That's why I did well running a sleep routine run. So anyway, track your activity, track your numbers, because they will tell everything. And lastly, most important secret, be consistent. Correct activities on a daily basis over a prolonged period of time. I absolutely guarantee you it is inevitable that you will achieve the results you're looking for. It is not possible not to. Whenever I hear somebody say, well, I tried that and I didn't work, it's assuming you got ZJ. I mean, let's be realistic. There's very few companies out there that you know for a fact is going to be around. There's no company's ever been a ZJ, all right, with our products, our leadership, and so on. Assuming you got ZJ, okay, I guarantee you nobody can tell me that they tried it and it didn't work if they're honest about the fact that they did not engage in correct activities, they were not consistent on a daily basis, and they didn't do it long enough, okay? Pure and simple. If you do those things, it is inevitable. Now, what I want to do, I try to reserve the second half of each Saturday morning for question and answer. All right, and I'm going to open up this chat. You got a little chat box somewhere on your screen, and I encourage you to pull that up. And what I'm going to do, let me see if she's here. Where are you? Oh, excellent. Candice, I have Candice Smiley from Edmonton with me. Candice, just a little warning. I'm going to bring you over to this side of the webinar, promote to panelists. I've asked Candice, some of you, well, many of you know Candice. I mean, she's an Emerald in Zija International. She's built an incredible story. Hey, Candice. There you are. Let me make sure you're unmuted. Gotcha. Now, I've asked Candice to join me. Some of you hopefully had a chance to see her on the Biz Talks broadcast this last Thursday. She shared her story. She's got a powerful story, really honing in on the fact that you can do something for a period of time with Zija, create a residual income that can, not only change your life, can save your life. Right, sweetie?
Yes.
I got to be careful.
Absolutely.
I use that term, sweetie, and I know that's, I get in trouble in a normal work fight. But hey, listen, I'm self-employed. So.
Well, Fred, I certainly appreciate your mentorship. So I receive it as I know you say it. So thank you for that. It's a pleasure to be on with everybody this morning.
Thank you very much. So anyway, I asked Candice if she would, come on board and work with me for our question and answer session. And I'm going to take a quick peek here. Folks, what I want you to do is go to your that chat window. And if you got a question, type in a question, okay? You do that, and what I've found oftentimes, Candice, I know you've done the same thing, is you've done a lot of, live trainings, video trainings, with your group and presentations, like, at the meetings and that sort of thing. Oftentimes, the most valuable part of a training isn't the training, which is a little humbling for us. It's actually using the information, having somebody that's there in the audience ask a question, their unique situation, their unique circumstances, because it becomes very valuable, not just to them, but to the other people listening. I'm going to start with you, Candice, because I know you've built a business. You were very successful with a previous company, but it was the kind of environment, unlike Zija, where it was a more of a direct sales business. If you were going to make money this month, you had to go sell. You didn't have an opportunity to create an organization of people making money and then develop the residual income that comes from a consumer base. The things that I was talking about, and here I'm talking particularly about that second thing, track your activity and track your numbers. Maybe you can take a few minutes and tell the folks a little bit about what you do, because I mean, I know that you've come out of kind of a forced retirement here for a couple of years, and pick really good timing, right? 6 months ahead of Zija 2.0. And that's pretty good timing, right? To come out of retirement. Maybe you can share with the folks a little bit about, your daily method of operation. How do you track your activities? How do you track the numbers, the results from those activities?
Absolutely, Fred. So I was really blessed early on to attend a training that actually wasn't related to the company I was in at the time, but it was done by a woman who said the number one problem, because this, of course, tends to be a woman-dominated industry, at least within North America, that we tend to be afraid of the numbers. So as women, we don't talk about how old we are. We don't talk about the numbers on the scale. We don't talk about the numbers. And so you come into a company like this that's driven by rank volume points. We're driven by the numbers. How many people do we need to talk to? How many, calls do I need to make? And so we're afraid of that. So a lot of what I do for myself is I say, hey, I need to know what the numbers are in order to make a change. And so I was originally challenged to say, how many calls do you have to do? Not the calls you think about doing, because we spend a lot of time thinking about doing a call, but the calls you actually physically make a connection with. How many conversations do you need to have? And I was like, I don't want to know the answers to that, Fred. I really didn't want to know. And so I started because I was challenged by a woman who said she would, if she got on the phone with 10 people, she would, actually book an appointment with 8. And of course, 50% failure rate oftentimes meant she would bring in about 40 people. And I was like, I really like those numbers. Mine were not that good. I think I had to talk to 10 people to get maybe 3 to actually look at the information, which meant I wasn't closing more than 1 or 2, right? And so I got really specific about that. And then this is what I did, Fred, and this is what I often encourage my girls to do. Don't tackle the numbers by yourself, right? This is a really difficult business to do slowly, and it's really difficult to do by yourself. So then look at where you're falling apart in the system. Are you losing them on the peak? Are you losing them when you pass? Are you losing? Figure out what the numbers are, because then you can go to an upline like, say, yourself or myself or whoever that knowledgeable person is who's supporting you to work down into your business and say, hey, I think I'm actually losing them here. I think I could increase my numbers by even, and we know, Fred, it's a little tiny bit that makes all the difference in the world. Like a 1% increase can change the game. So those are kind of the daily method of operation for me. Is I'm actually always willing to get off a call and figure out how effective I was, what the numbers are. If I don't like what the numbers are in the back office, and they're never big enough, seriously, they're never big enough, then how many more calls do I need to do based on what's actually going on for me? So it's actually physically connecting. That's still for me how I build my business.
Yeah. Now, folks, you understand why I asked Candice to join me today. Okay. Hey, one of the things I learned a long time ago is if you want to look really, really good, surround yourself with people that are really, really good and shut up. No, we need to hone in on that, Candice, because you had some really interesting perceptions, and I don't want to lose them. You identified, and folks, I know in you know, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but here in the United States, we're on this path here where of gender fluidity or something like that. And hey, listen, you know, and listen, I'm totally open-minded. I'm from California, so I mean, you know, you can marry your dog, I don't care. You know, as long as it, you know, you don't expect me to marry your dog. But here's the point. To say that there is not a difference between a man and a woman is just stupid, okay? And you know, I'm gonna get a lot of blowback from this one. What I do know is that the more energy and effort I put into trying to identify who I'm speaking to, what is unique about them, what is their frame of reference, the more effective my communication is. If I assume that everybody thinks like me, first of all, we're all in a lot of trouble, okay? But if I think everybody thinks like me, I'm only communicating to me. Now, you made a comment that just really, that made a lot of sense to me. As women, you tend to avoid the numbers, okay? And I get that, okay? That makes sense to me. Now, I have an advantage over most guys. I was raised by a single mom. My only sibling is my sister. I mean, long before anybody else got it, I was talking about, you know, women's rights and you know, equal pay for equal work, you know, that kind of stuff. Because back in the 60s, my mom was a police officer, and they paid male cops more money than female cops because the guys had families to support. You know, like she didn't, right? And so, I mean, I know that there is a difference, and you said something that I thought was really unique. The numbers aspect was a challenge. But like in any business, you got to track that. If you own a restaurant, if you own a hardware store, if you own a clothing boutique, whatever it is, there's money coming in, there's money going out. There's certain, you know, dresses or wrenches or dishes that you're serving that are more profitable. You want to move them. What would you do for somebody that, you know, you already know? And I had a gal tell me, Fred, you can't, when we're talking about weight loss, don't talk about pounds, talk about dress sizes. Gals get dress sizes, not pounds. Whereas guys, it's just about pounds, right? I mean, I know guys, oh, I lost 50 pounds. Really? Didn't come off your belly. Can't tell whether you got a belt buckle or not, or that's why you got that giant belt buckle so people can see it. But you know, how do you help somebody that's maybe averse to the actual numbers, helping them be able to get more comfortable with that?
Well, I think that, and it was kind of fun. I'm going to give her a shout out here, but Nancy Carlson actually did a really great training for an online event that I was doing a number of weeks ago, where she said, if you're a mom, you balance a schedule, right? And so she kind of brought up that piece, and that's kind of where I lean into, like you just said, Fred, really looking at and listening to the person I'm actually talking to. So male or female, but in this case, a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it and say, if she's got 3 kids, she's already balancing numbers in a different way. And so I just want to help her to reframe that if you have to make 10 calls, don't take that as it's like there's 10 more pounds on the scale. Don't look at that number. Look at, you picked up the phone 10 times. You picked up the phone 10 times. That's amazing. Now, how can we adjust that? And then to really focus on getting them, like I said, that 1%, success rate, getting them a win becomes so incredibly important. And so then we can stop looking at, well, I didn't bring in 1,000, which is another number, right? So that just messes us up continually. Even if they only brought in 250, we can acknowledge that and get really powerful about that and say, yeah, but you brought in 250. You
Mm-hmm.
made 10 calls. And so it's about stacking, I think, the numbers on top of each other so they can look at that and find a win within that.
Excellent. Yeah, that's powerful. And, for me, one of the key things, and this is why it's so good to have somebody besides me as part of this, this time frame, because this is really not about, my ego, your ego. Okay, this is about providing support for the people, because and folks, just so you're aware of this, Candice is not in my pay line. Okay, I have absolutely no benefit, financial benefit from what Candice produces. However, I also have an entirely different philosophy, and I shared this with you the other day, Candice. There is a certain amount of enlightened self-interest. I know that if Candice's story, and she's already a story in Zija, but I mean, as she grows and becomes even more significant story in Zija, her story may inspire somebody that I'm speaking to, or one of my team members is speaking to. That person comes into the business and creates volume and that sort of thing. One person's success in Zija means that somebody else can be successful, and that's the concept of enlightened self-awareness. Now, appreciate what you said, Candice, and your contribution there. And now this is really good because I've got my answer, but one of the questions here is, do you have a favorite book that has helped you in your Zija success? And I'm going to expand on that question because it's something that I was speaking about earlier. Candice, you've had tremendous success. You're a recognized leader. You're an emerald in our business, obviously on your way to diamond. What kinds of things are you reading or have read that have made a difference and helped you become successful?
Absolutely. So when I got started in the industry, Fred, one of the things that, someone said would be sort of a hindrance to me was the fact that I was young, that I was a woman, because it's often tough to do that. And they said that people wouldn't necessarily take me seriously. And I actually took that as a really positive challenge. And I said, great. Then what has to happen is I need to, when I open my mouth to say something, when I get someone on the phone, when they actually pick up, then I need to be ready to rock it out. So to do my best. And my mom said, if you're going to do this business, she said, do it. Don't do it for 30 days. Don't do it for 90 days. She says, do it for a year and listen to the people that have the success. Throw yourself into it. Bring your best to the table. Leave it on the table, because oftentimes, Fred, we can do our best and we don't get the results in terms of, because it's, we have a business where people can still say no, even if we do all of the right activities. So we have to be attached to doing the right activities every day. So, just like we have to get used to, especially as women, but as a woman, I had to get used to, not always getting what I wanted, to have to deal with the numbers, but not only that, to learn to discipline my disappointments. So rule number 1, you're always going to get emotional about your business, but don't get emotional about your business. And rule number 2, always remember rule number 1. So that was really how I approached it. So my dad gave me a book when I was 14. It took me 10 years to read it, which was How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I'm so glad that's the first book I picked up, because it just, I know, right?
I got the book. I just got the book.
Right? I got the book. book. I literally pick it up at I go into bookstores, I go into used bookstores. If it's on the shelf, I pick it up. In fact, my team knows this, and they'll pick it up and they'll get it to me because they know I give this book out like it's candy. The second book that totally changed my life, and it's actually, for those of you who haven't heard my story, I came from another company, which I loved. It was a great training place. Zija became a new home for me. But the book that made me realize that that wasn't the company, and I needed to make a shift from that one to a different one because I wanted to create a certain culture and community, and I was looking for something different in terms of the product, was a book by Bob Burg called The Go-Giver. And that's actually what I call my team, the Go-Givers. And the whole concept is that if you go read it, it's simple. It's like a parable. It's very simple to read. He talks about 5 stratospheric laws for success. And the essence, if you can't figure that out already, is literally go give and then receive. And it really relates back to you are the sum of the people you spend the most time with. So who the heck are you spending time with?
Boy, that's powerful, and that was actually something that somebody else just said here. I think it was Lauren, the sum of 5 people around you. You know, that was a concept that was a little bit difficult for me when I first started because in my previous life, you know, I rode motorcycles, I drove trucks. I was the most successful person in my circle. Okay, you can always tell if for a guy, you're the most successful person in your circle if you're the one your buddies call on Sunday night to bail them out of jail. Okay, you know, got thrown in the drunk tank. If they don't get to work on Monday, they're going to lose their job. They're going to lose their girlfriend or their wife. And they called the guy, not that I had money, I had a credit card that still had an available balance on it, right? You know, and so, you know, that was one of the things that was a little bit of a challenge for me. And I'm not saying that, you know, I left everybody behind. I still am close friends with the people I was close friends with 30 plus years ago. But there was a time in my life that I recognized I maybe can't spend every weekend with those fellas. And for a while, you know, that's what happened. I didn't spend, but I spend my time while I cultivate and create new friendships and relationships. I've maintained the old ones, and they're very happy about that because there's a number of them that have been blessed abundantly because of my checkbook. And then I'll make fun about, are you still doing that deal?
Yeah.
Very good. We're getting pretty close to the end here. Oh, somebody asked about Biz Talks. Oh, okay. I have a YouTube channel, and folks, there's a number of people that come to this presentation that are not part of my personal organization. The first thing I want to tell you is that everything that I talk about is pretty generic. Every one of you has an upline diamond leader who's demonstrated through their success they understand what to do. You have a couple of upline people, Candice, Mike Ashana Crane, Phil Jacobson. They are tremendous leaders. They're incredibly knowledgeable and successful people. I know both of them very well. I don't want you to not do what your specific upline leaders are directed. Do that, okay? If you're getting some value out of this time, terrific, augment. But focus on what your leaders are doing because they're the people who are going to directly support you. Now, that being said, whatever I'm doing, if it's of value to you, and if you noticed, I hedged my bet here. I got people like Candice. Candice joining me.
Yeah.
And so it makes me look really good, right? You know, what I've done is I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Fred Holmes Egypt. The archived broadcasts of the Biz Talks that I'm talking about, where Candice was on, it's there. The Saturday morning trainings, they're there. There's a few other things that are there as well, some training videos, what have you, but it's all there. Go ahead and check it out. Let's see if we got any other questions here. Candice, we've covered a lot of material space today, and I know that you have a very unique perspective on the building of this business, being a single mom and wanting your Zija business to grow, but for it not to usurp your life. The purpose of the Zija business is to be able to be with your child. Maybe you can take a couple of moments and talk about, integrating your Zija business with your life, if you will, doing Zija around your life.
Yes. And I'm glad you gave me this last opportunity, because I was thinking about, the conversation we were having earlier about the numbers. And I got to tell you, the number one reason I don't mind tackling the numbers is over my shoulder. So the number one reason that I will tackle the numbers and be more and more efficient with my time, why I don't mind figuring out how many calls I have to do and those sorts of things, is because when I have a moment away from her, I have to make it count. So I do this business because the retention rate and the products are bar none. So I know that if I take time away from the very precious little one I get to spend time with to do this business, the payoff is there. It's worth my time. So that's the first and foremost that I just wanted to throw out there, that it's worth it. It's worth the effort to create an income. And Fred, I was able to create in 2.5 years an income that sustained me while I was off for a period of time and just really, really present with her. And so, she's my priority. I have a really neat support team. So this includes my parents. This includes a lot of people on my team who will take her, so that when I'm doing a call like this and I need to be present and focused and bringing my best, I bring my best. And so it's not about balance. It's really not. It's about appropriate attention to the task at hand. So my long-term goals are very, very clear. I know the life I want to create for her and for me. And then I do break that down into the short-term goals. I love that you brought this up, because it's not about crazy activity anymore. That was how I could build my business at first. I could throw myself into it and put a lot of hours into the business and therefore reap the rewards of that, both in team and financial income. Now I have to schedule it. And so what is scheduled gets done. So just like you have a journal and it's so important to you, I have a day timer and it's scheduled. I highlight it with colors. So I highlight everything so I know exactly what I can move, exactly what I can't move. I put time in with her first. Mm-hmm. And if I'm on personal time, I'm not answering the phone. End of story. But I also communicate
that darn phone off.
Right? But I also communicate that clearly, because I know the quality of my life is dependent upon the quality of the communication I have. And that's an ongoing thing, especially as the business grows. It means I have to lean into the system. So ladies, don't try to do this by yourself. We all try to do it by ourselves. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. So have your priorities straight, set those things in there, make the goals high, and then enlist a support team and be clear with them. I sat them down as I came out of retirement, as you say, Fred, and I said, I'm going to work a certain number of hours at a certain pace. Yes, I'm going to make a sacrifice for a season, and I'm going to make that sacrifice count, because I'm in the right company at the right place with the right team, that I can set not only myself up, but my very precious daughter for the rest of our lives if I do this. And then I got their involvement, I got their engagement, just like I would when I run a crazy promotion in my team. I got to get the team involved. And so for me, this business is impossible to do by myself. I lean into the team. I schedule everything. I give myself a lot of grace, and I put her first, because then the priorities are all sorted out.
That's beautiful. Candice, such a joy to have somebody like you on board, and in particular contributing to this particular environment, this particular vehicle. I put you on the spot the last time I had you on broadcast with me, asking you if you would join me again. I'll do it one more time. Can I invite you to come back here in a few weeks and do question and answer with me again?
I would love to, Fred. This is an absolute blessing for me. This has been part of that long-term plan. Is because once we learn something, I think if we can share it, hopefully I can save somebody a little bit of heartache as they're figuring it out. So it'd be an absolute pleasure for me to be on again.
Excellent. And folks, I got this on recording, so you heard her say it. Candice, thanks so much. I'm going to let you go back, and thank you. Appreciate everything you're doing for all of Zija, and in particular for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. And so, folks, man, was that powerful. As you notice, I was taking some notes. I even actually got a new book to read here that I wasn't aware of before. I want each and every one of you to know that what's going to be happening with our company over the next 3 to 5 years is going to make history in this profession. And it sounds like a fairly significant statement. I mean, you know, companies like, you know, the Amway Corporation, Mary Kay, Herbalife, they have made incredible contributions to the profession, that they are the companies they tell the stories about. None of us have an opportunity today to get back in with, you know, Amway in the 60s and Mary Kay in the 70s and Herbalife in the 80s. We can't do that. Okay, that time is gone. But each one of you have an opportunity to be involved before the masses with a company whose story will literally rival and actually exceed the stories of those great companies. And I don't want you to lose track of that, because the way to create a true legacy for yourself and your family is by, number one, get started. Number two, do the deal. And number three, don't quit. If you're wondering, what do I need to know to get started? Nothing. Align yourself with somebody in your upline who knows what to do and just follow instructions. Don't wait till you know everything, because you won't know everything. I don't. Candice doesn't. And so many of our top leaders are doing what we do every day, trying to improve ourselves. So what do you need to know to get started? Nothing. All you got to know is what you want, where you want to go, and then work with somebody who can show you how to get there. One more shout out to Candice Smiley. Thank you for joining us. What a great contribution to today's program. Folks, this upcoming week, David Moses, Facebook Live presentation. If you're not subscribed to his Facebook, go to David Moses OTW, David Moses One Team Worldwide OTW, 9:30 Pacific time, East Coast time. He's going to be doing number 3 module of his 8-week Millionaires in Training session. Wednesday evening, we're going to have a very special product focus call. That'll be hosted by Pat Anderson. You can access that broadcast through her website, which is clubmoringa.com, clubmoringa.com. That's Wednesday evening, 9:30 Eastern time. And then the next edition of Biz Talks will be Thursday evening. It's 1 hour earlier, 8:30 Eastern time. You can access that actually through Pat's website as well at Club Moringa, or directly with the Zoom video link that you can get from the person that asked you to be part of this broadcast. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'm off. Going to enjoy mom and a little sunshine today. We'll see you. Bye-bye.